Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today as we gather together, as we live into whatever this day, this week, this month has to offer. I'm curious about where you are and about where this finds you, both spiritually, emotionally, and even physically. What does that look like? And what does it mean to you specifically to have courage? To think about something and to be courageous. I found this quote. It's by Jeremy Goldberg. It says, "Courage is knowing it might hurt and doing it anyway. Stupidity is the same, and that's why life is hard." Um, and I find that oddly comforting and perplexing all at the same time, because I think, courage is this notion of being willing to stand up, being willing to step out, being willing when people will be against you, or when you don't know what the outcome will be, and doing it anyway. In faith, there's this notion of hope, this trust that, if we are doing it for the right reasons, that God will be there in our midst. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy or simple, but it also means stepping out. We often just want to be comfortable. We don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to challenge anybody. So many of us just want to sit back and be comfortable, and yet our faith, our calling, our hope, our engagement encourages us not to be stagnant. There are times, yes, there are Bible verses that, say, "Be still and know that I am God." And it's a reminder for us that we need that peace, that opportunity, that calm in the midst of all that is going on, that opportunity to rest. And yet, it also doesn't mean that we can just stay there. This past Sunday, we heard a passage from Gospel of John. It was the longest interaction that Jesus has with anybody, and it's with an unnamed Samaritan woman, which is like really weird. First of all, talking with a woman in that time who you weren't related to was really frowned upon, and the Hebrews, the Jews, and the Samaritans just didn't get along. They had a bad breakup a long time before that, and just disagreed with one another, and so all of a sudden, yet here is Jesus at this well, and wanting a drink. And so he starts a conversation with this woman about water, of all things, about being thirsty, about who we are. So Jesus steps out in courage, because Jesus starts the conversation with this woman, but this woman responds. She could have easily ignored him. She could have easily just turned and walked away, but yet she then is encouraged to be courageous by having this conversation with Jesus, and then flips it around, leaves her water jug there by the well, and goes back to the town that she was sort of removed from, or removed herself from, and started talking about Jesus, and so questioning. And I think that takes courage too. It's easy for us in some instances to say, "You know what, this is it, and you're not going to change my mind." Well, why not? And yeah, there are some things that you may talk with me about, you may not change my mind, but the opportunity to be courageous, just to listen, to be open to what others have to say, to hear their perspective, their point of view, is so important, especially in our world today. We have groups that don't believe that they need to listen to anybody, or that the other side is anything but an enemy. And yet, here in the passage that we had for last week, it reminds us that who others may claim as an enemy could be someone who we deeply connect with, could be someone who we share something deeply close with. And it gives us an opportunity to see them, to learn about the person, and to then make our own decisions. Does it take more time? Absolutely. Does it take a lot of courage? 100%. But it also can lead to some amazing, amazing connections, amazing conversations, irregardless of if it changes our mind, but it opens us. And over again, that's what Jesus encourages us to do, to be open, to see the world around us differently, to see humanity differently. You know, we often want to say that we want to go back to this or we want to go back to that. We can't go back in time. We're not Marty McFly. And so what does it look like to live now, to live for the future, to live with hope, to live with courage, to step out, to be engaged in one another's existence, to recognize that existence and find opportunities to grow and to learn with one another. So I invite you, I challenge you, find one opportunity to be courageous this week and share it. There's 2 opportunities. Thank you all for spending a little bit of time with me today. I invite you, join us for community. We gather on Wednesdays at 6 for our midweek Lenten services as we go through. We do that here on site. It's a simple soup and bread meal with a short service discussion to follow. And then, as always, we gather for worship. Not as always, but as often. We gather for worship at 8:30 and 10:30 here on site and online. So join with us, engage with us, help us to share and to live into this courageous faith that God is inviting us into. Thank you all. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. God bless. Don't forget to share it. We'll see you soon. Bye.